everybody again. And it feels like it's been a long while since last time we were online. That's why it's always wonderful to be back and then to have a chance to have a review together. And as I always really believe that I think diligence is the path. And recently, according to chapter 23, we have learned a lot more of that. I think diligence is one of the key aspects of what we need to have. And that was shown in chapter 23. And obviously there are a lot more than that, but it's always good to review these concepts, and having these concepts and attributes always coming up to reinforce the importance of these attributes and also in these concepts. So now let us go into the contents that we have today. We were talking about chapter 23, the former deeds of the Bodhisattva medicine king. And last week we talked about Samadhi and its physical manifestation. And I think this is something that's very important. Just a couple of days yesterday, we heard that the Bodhisattva, all beings delighted in seeing, coming back after giving off with all this, setting himself alight and coming back, had already mentioned that wanted to rush over to see the Buddha. And at that moment, he had already achieved the other Samadhi, which is being able to speak many, many languages, being able to understand many different tongues. And so other than these two things, right, the physical manifestation and also being able to speak many languages, enable him to be able to spread the Dharma, right? You can spread the Dharma with this physical manifestation. Your form, how you carry yourselves, go a long way to be able to spread the teachings. Just by being who you are, just by being, just by being there, you're able to pass on this idea, this concept, and being able to transform people. And that's what this Samadhi is talking about. So we talked about the Samadhi in its ultimate form. It's no longer just on the inside. Samadhi is, as you know, it's being able to find that tranquility on the inside. But it's more than that. Others can tell and know just by looking that you're in a state of Samadhi. And it's so powerful that without actively doing anything, sentient beings are already inspired by looking at you with the benevolence and even be willing to change for the better. And I think this is something that we have seen, that we have experienced. You want to be better when you're around Master. You want it to be better when you're around other brothers and sisters, because you have to be better, right? We are all flawed selves. We ourselves are all flawed individuals. And we have to be better so that we can pay more back. We can do more for the group. And so that's exactly what it is. You see all of us and you feel like, oh, wait, they're doing so much work during the pandemic, but I'm not. I should do more. So that's what this Samadhi is talking about, that without actively saying, let me tell you Dharma, you already are transmitting Dharma, right? So this is precisely what happened to gladly seen by all sentient beings, Bodhisattva. Why? Because look at the name. The name was that the moment that you see this Bodhisattva, you feel you're so happy already, right? So can we bring that state of joy or state of Dharma to others by just showing up? And I think that's what we need to do as part of our cultivation, to cultivate our inside, and it will show on the outside as well. So that's what we talked about last week. And this week, as I wanted to go into more questions as well, I prepared something briefly to talk about. So we all know that because of all the things that happened, Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all sentient beings, felt very grateful that he was able to achieve all what he had achieved. Of course, including Samadhi and also the manifestation of that. So therefore, he was very grateful. And grateful, therefore, he went back to the Buddha. And then he said, because I'm so grateful to the Buddha and the Lotus Sutra, this is what I'm going to offer. So not only did he offer everything that he could, but this is the part that comes from the sutra itself. Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all sentient beings, anointed his body. So put on all the the body with the scented ointment. And in the presence of the Buddha, sun, moon, pure, bright virtue, he covered his body with a divine jewel garment, a robe, and with the fragrant oil. Through his transcendent power and vows, he set his body alight. Okay, so this is the part where I think Master took about a couple of days to explain what exactly happened. The part that people got, really into was the last part, setting himself alight. Okay. Now, Master took some time to go through all the things that in this part, including, you anoint yourself with the scented ointment, and then you cover your body with the divine robe, and then you also got, you also drink. He also drank through, pour a lot into his body, these fragrant or these scented oil or these, very, very highly valued and very prized fragrant oil. And Master went through all of that to explain how a person was really transforming, not just on the outside, not just with the smell and the scent, not just how you dress and how you carry yourself, right? We could do all of that. We could all be saying thank you. We could all be saying 感恩. We could all be putting on the robe of 柔和忍辱衣. That's what we could do. But have you really changed on the inside? So the change on the inside was characterized by, pouring down into the body all these oil and fragrant oil and scented oil into the body to purify, right? But the last part, and Master talked about, and in the sutra it talks about, that he wrapped himself up like a candle, and then he set himself alight. Okay, so many people that I'm sure saw this part and thought about what it really meant. And I understand that Master in many days talked about this is not really, burning. You're not talking about burning yourself with the fire. Setting himself alight is very different from, burning yourself with the fire. Okay, so what exactly did he burn? Or was it that he burned? So Master on the 29th told us this, right? The fire isn't what we commonly know as the fire, right? It's not the fire that you have the lighter or you have the match and you put it on and you go, well, boom, you're on fire. No, it's not that fire, right? And the body that was burned wasn't the physical body, right? So it's the vow from the transcendent power manifested through the utmost sincerity. So we talked about diligence, we talk about sincerity, we talk about reverence, we talk about this feeling, this devotion and the power that comes through. So what does it all mean, right? Do we actually try to understand what was burned? And in my idea, I thought, going through all this and going through what Master had talked about, I really think that it was this self that was burned, right? We burn away the notion of self. This attachment to self is the one thing that was really a hindrance, right? What was this self that was burned? And I think if you, a more layman term, and I think this is what I always like to do, is going through some easier terms, right? These two voices in your head. There are always these two voices in your head, right? Maybe there's more, but I don't know. There's two main ones, right? For example, waking up early in the morning for Xun Fa Xiang, right? The one voice in you that tells you that Master had gone through all this, length and go through all the energy just to bring the Dharma to us. It's something that we should cherish, and it is something that we should always try to seize every moment to listen to. So that's the one voice in your head. Then there's the other voice in your head that is talking about, but I just had an overtime, right? I just worked very hard and very late yesterday. And even if I were to go, I would be dozing off. So it's better that I stay to avoid any traffic accidents, right? And because Master wouldn't want us to get into any problems, accidents, right? So there are two voices in your head. One is telling you to do this. One is telling you to do the other. But this one, the one that tells you we should avoid traffic accidents, and if you go there, you're just dozing off. You're not paying respect. You're not being reverent. Therefore, it's better for you to stay home and have a good rest so that you can carry on your days nicely. So that people at work will not blame Tzu Chi for you waking up early and then falling asleep at work, right? So all of that's the other voice. One voice tells you that you should go. The other voice tells you that you shouldn't go and gives you a bunch of reasons. Let me give you another example. For example, there is a bowl of ice cream right in front of you, right? And then one voice tells you, you shouldn't eat this. You know, you're over 50. Well, I'm sure most of you, I'm almost 50. So you're over age of 50. You like to eat sweet stuff, but as your doctor always tells you, you shouldn't, okay? The other voice tells you what? It tells you, but I didn't eat that much all the time, right? I don't eat this every day. I eat this like every week. It's okay. Doctor says as long as you don't eat too much of it, right? These are the two voices. They're always there, right? So what are they? One is yourself. And that's always in there. It's called the seventh consciousness. If you talk about consciousness, remember what you talked about? The first 5 and the 6 and the 7 and the 8, right? The seventh one is a hidden one. It's subconscious. It's there controlling everything, right? If you're walking on the street and your mind is somewhere else, you're still walking, you didn't fall, you didn't trip because your all functions are still working. You're just walking like a zombie because you're thinking about something else, right? So the other one is consciousness, the sixth consciousness. That is the one that you can actually train, that you can actually learn. You can actually turn that consciousness into something more. And that's what Master has been trying to tell us, that you could do more, you could learn more by being reverent, by being sincere. There is more power than that, right? That's pouring energy into consciousness so that when you having this internal debate between the 6 and the 7, you won't so easily lose out this debate. And let me tell you that the 7 is so powerful because it's you. It knows your weaknesses. It knows how to persuade you because it is you. It knows what you're looking for. It knows that your body is tired. It knows that you're sleepy. It's giving you more logic and rationale as to why you shouldn't have to wake up. It's giving you the rationale to having to feel okay to eat the bowl of ice cream. But that's what we can't do. Well, you can eat ice cream if you want. It's not a bad thing. I'm being the other voice now. But all I'm saying is that there's always these two voices. The one that is 6 is something that will begin with telling you that you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't smoke, you should be vegetarian, you should do this, you should do that. And the other voice starts to try to say, well, hey, by being a vegetarian, you're not having enough nutrition. You know, you will hinder your growth. And when you're a child, it's not good. You need to grow first, right? So you need to have more energy. And a vegetarian is always hungry and is always not, lacking nutritious input. So you should eat some meat and protein. So these are the things that cater to what you want, which is eating meat. And it gives you the rationale and logic behind it that persuades you. But learning and also listening and also cultivating, strengthen your 6th consciousness so that you are having this power to overcome that by saying, but look at the animals. Look at all the lives. They are sentient beings too. They feel, they hurt, and they are not our food. That's the energy that you need to go against the 7, the other voice, so that when you're not waking up in the morning, you have more power to persuade the other self to say, you know what? I am going against what myself tells me. I am going to do this. And that comes with cultivation. And it absolutely works. If you believe it, it absolutely works. When did it actually work? We used to say thank you. That comes out of our mind, right? We were taught when we were young that we had to say thank you. And then we come into Tzu Chi and everything we said is 感恩. Why? Because it has been so deeply implanted that you keep on saying it, it becomes a seed and it comes back to your 8th consciousness and it grows into 7 and the 6. So now, by nature, by yourself, there is no more vocabulary called thank you. There's a vocabulary called 感恩. That's how it works, right? That's why cultivation takes a long time, because it takes time for you to sow the seeds And it takes time for the seed to grow and mature, and it takes time for it to blossom into something that you would actually be influenced. So always these two voices. And the burning is to burn away, is to get this self away. So the attachment to self is a hindrance to wisdom. Every time that you're trying to learn something, right? Imagine this analogy that the water from your treatment plant, it actually came out with very, very low content of bacteria. So it's actually okay to drink the water just as is when the water comes out of the water treatment plant. The problem is that as the water is going through the pipe itself is going through ages. It has gone through decay. It has been rusted. So the water that was clean at the plant goes through the pipe, and it was already rusted and dirty. So by the time it comes out of the faucet, the water is not drinkable. You need to now have the filter, and you need to boil it so that it's now safe to drink again. Same thing with Dharma. Dharma at the source, when Master spoke of it in the morning Dharma talk, it's clean and pure. But the moment that it comes into your ear, goes through the pipes of our body, and it goes into yourself, the seventh and the eighth consciousness, it's all gone. It's all dirty. It's not clean anymore, right? It's already tainted by our pipes that's inside. That's the problem. So how do you get the true Dharma? Why do we always forget the Dharma? Why do we not understand the Dharma when Master seems to be so understanding and so clear, and we're not? Why? Because the Dharma itself is clean, but by the time it gets in, it's already tainted. A tainted water can't possibly clarify and also purify your mind, because the water itself is already not clean. That's the problem. So that's the self in there. That is the seventh consciousness in there. That is polluting all the things around. So even though we're so sincere in accepting the teaching, by the time that it gets in, it's tainted. It's already not in its pure form. So that's why it's so easy for us to forget, so easy for us to not to remember and to not understand, right? So if this self, if this seventh consciousness, if this thing that's polluting all of us can be broken, then we can be enlightened right away. Right away. Can you imagine right away being enlightened? There was a story, and if you remember back in chapter 12, in the chapter of Devadatta, at the end of the chapter, there was a dragon maiden. If you remember, there was a dragon maiden that offered the most precious jewel, turned around and become a man, become the body of the man, and right away enlightened, right? Right away achieve enlightenment. How did she do that? Well, she offered this most precious jewel. And in a way, this most precious jewel that was offered is very similar to the burning of the self. And not, like I said, it's not the fire, it's not the body, but it's the letting go of the self. No longer are you so content with your bodily feelings like, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I don't want to do this, I want to have more taste, I wanted to do all the things that I like, versus what is the right thing to do? What is the more appropriate things to do? What is the thing that I need to do? These are the two things. There's always the two voices. And the cultivation will get you more strength on this part. The offering of the most precious jewel in my mind is self. The one thing that it's the hardest to give away is self. How can you give away yourself? It's very hard. But when you do give it away, you turn around and you're enlightened. Just like, gladly seen by all sentient beings, Bodhisattva. Same thing. He was able to do through all his cultivation, and he was able to burn it through the fire of Samadhi, and that was able to set him free. That was what was important, okay? So that's absolutely, we have seen precedents before. So how do you break through? Fire, this is what we talk about here, is an external force, right? It's like something that forces you to change. For example, an external, what we talked about, what Master talks about with all the COVID-19, it changes your lifestyle. It changes that you didn't want to wear a mask, but now you have to. You didn't want to do, social distancing because you like people. Now you have to. These are the forces that's external, that makes you put down yourself. Okay, so these things will be enforced only through a period of time. It cannot be for a long time. You have to break through it with your inner self, right? The inner wisdom have to come out to say, you know what? I have now the wisdom of profound insight. I have seen animals for what they really are. They are not our food. Therefore, we should not eat them. That is coming from inside. Anything that's coming from the outside, like for example, you making sure your children don't eat animals. Yeah, when they grow up, when they become 21, or younger, probably 18 or 15, when they go out, they're gonna choose what they wanna eat. You can't stop them, right? So same thing. External forces only go so long and go so much. It could help you to understand what this is. By doing that, it isn't so bad, but it will only go so far. What is needed is from inside, right? And train that voice of reason and wisdom. Reason and wisdom. Give that wisdom more power. And that's what cultivation is all about. So that's why Master always says, be more mindful. What does this mindful mean? Don't just go into zombie-like reaction. That's the seventh consciousness. You want to be mindful by putting your sixth consciousness to train the sixth consciousness and to make it so that it's always in position to make the right choice. Rather than having the seventh come out and say, hey, the bowl of ice cream, it looks so delicious. The day the temperature is so hot, you need this. Otherwise, you're going to faint. You don't want to faint. By fainting, it's the worst thing that could happen. You don't want to faint. It's telling you all these things, right? And making you want to eat that bowl of ice cream. But you have to be more mindful. Mindful as in which mind? The six consciences. So when you're walking down the street, you are not just having the motor functions of walking. No, you are putting your mind on your feet. That's walking. That's called be more mindful. So that's the sharing for today. And I wanted to go into the questions and answers because there have been so many of them backed up. And I really wanted to get into some of that. And to just to recap what we just talked about, I think that the burning over the fire, it's not the actual fire, and it's not the burning of your physical body, but rather it's a form of giving up, giving away, or detach. And the one thing that it's the hardest to be detached from is your body. It's yourself. It's the sense of, it's the notion of self. By giving that up, you are now weighing, right? And the two voices. One is really attached to what you like, you know, your sense of what you like and what you dislike. You, right? You like this, you don't like this. When you see that person, you don't like them, what do? You turn away, right? But what does your mind tell you? What does your wisdom tell you? What does the sixth consciousness tell you? It tells you that we have to good and foster good relations, affinity with people. So go up and ask, wait, what's wrong? Are you feeling sad? Do you need some help? Even though if you don't like them, this is what you can still do. So that's taking your mind into control. Control your body by putting the mind, by being mindful. Don't let the seven just take over, but by doing the right thing. When you do the right thing, then it becomes a seed and it will come back to the eighth, and then it will blossom into the sixth and the seventh, and then it becomes natural, like Gan'en. So that's what we do, and it takes a long, long time to weed out all the bad things and plant in the seeds of the goodness so that it becomes grow and blossom, and it becomes natural. It becomes second nature to you, and it takes a long, long time. Okay, so that's something that we still need to do. Okay, so come to this question. Somebody asked, I have a pet which I adore, always try to create blessings and let the dog join the Dharma talks. Wonderful. I think we need to have more sentient beings join, right? Dogs, good, but if you can bring people, that's even better, okay? Bring people, not just dogs, people to Dharma talks and then talk about it afterwards, right? The post-Dharma talk, that's really good. So somebody said, if I adore the pet so much in next realm, I would go to the animal realm. Is this true? Well, this is my understanding, okay? Obviously, I don't know if you're gonna be a dog or if I'm gonna be a dog next life, I don't know. But Master told us that what we need to do to come back to the human realm or the heaven realm or the animal realms, there is actually a very specific, categorization about how you go into different realms. But this is what I would say. Why did some people are always better with numbers? Why do some people come to this life and they already know how to draw? They draw amazingly when they're at a very young age. Why? Because that's what they put so much time in. They have spent so much time and effort. It goes into your eighth consciousness as the seed. So you know well, you just pick up the pen and you know how to draw. You know, some people are very good with numbers. They look at the numbers and they go like, I know how to calculate this. That they know, right? Some people are very good with words. They are able to speak and they are able to write, you know, these wonderful essays and poetry. Why? Because you spend so much time and you put so much seeds into your eighth consciousness so that eventually it's going to grow. Same thing. You put so much time into your pet dog. You put so much time into loving and caring for the animals. In your next lifetime, even if it had nothing to do with animal realm, you are going to see the animal and you're going to love them. You're going to be very compassionate. You're going to be very loving to all animals. That's what this will do. I don't know if it's going to mean that you're going to go into the animal realm, because that's actually talking about retribution and what you do here in this lifetime and all the accumulation of merits and karma. But what I would tell you is this: what we do now is what we putting into our eighth consciousness. The more that you do one thing, the more that you plant the seeds and the more it's going to grow. So you decide what you want to put in. Good or bad, you decide. And eventually it's going to grow. There's nothing going around it. It just had to happen, okay? So Buddha comes to the world and manifests the 8 appearances. What are they? Okay, so I have this picture here, and I shared this was actually drawn by one of our volunteers after hearing it. So there are 8 different steps, right? By being in the Bodhisattva training heaven, and also now being born, and then in the baby form, and young adulthood, cultivation, and then finally being enlightened, turning the Dharma wheel, and finally enter into nirvana. So these are the 8 different phases, right? So what is the point of these 8 phases? I think there are 2 parts. One, it tells you that Buddha is just like us, right? Was also born into this world, having mom and dad, and having to grow up like a person, like any one of us, right? But that was the first part. Buddha is just like one of us. But what was Buddha so different? Number 2, why was Buddha so different? That's what we need to learn. Out of these all 8 phases, right? Which one do we have? We have number 2, we've been born by the mother, right? And we were born as a baby form, as an adult, as a young adult, and we're now cultivating, right? So why haven't we reached the 6th, which is enlightenment? Because we haven't cultivated enough. This 8 form tells us where we are and how long we have to do. How much more do we have to do? Because it tells you that by going through these stages, you could become enlightened as well. You could, and Buddha is showing us how. Master is showing us how. We just need to walk the path, and then we will be able to pick up where we left off continuously, okay? So that's what this eight manifestations is trying to tell us, at least to me, is where we are and what else do I need to do to eventually reach Buddhahood. And there's one part that goes on into cycles, and that's called the Bodhisattva path. But regardless of what it is, am I seeing that? Am I being enlightened? Am I getting rid of my all the unwholesomeness and all the afflictions? That's what I need to tell myself, right? So Bodhisattva path is completed in this era by Tzu Chi. I think I don't want to say completed, but I wanted to say this: the conditions are ripe. Okay, so Master taught us, right? Paths are open, telling us what to do. It's already there, right? The roads are paved. It's not like a very difficult and hard work. You just need to follow the road, get on the path, follow the road. Everything is ready for you. The conditions are ripe for you. In the past, it wasn't there. You don't have enough people, right? Let's go back to 2,500 years ago. Talking about Bodhisattva trying to help people. How would you be able to help people that you didn't even know existed, right? People are worlds away. First of all, you couldn't know that there was a disaster there. Second of all, even if you knew, you couldn't get there to help them. So that was what happened in the past. Even if you want to help people, it was very limited to this group of people around the Ganges River. But now the conditions are there. The roads are paved. You can now get on the plane to do many things. You're now able to see so many of these news on the internet and on TV. And Master even bring them to you. If you didn't watch, then she will actually recite it to you, right? This morning, telling us, and yesterday, telling us about all the disasters that's happening in the world. So it's all ready for you. The only thing is, are you ready? Everything is right, but are you ready? That's the Bodhisattva path. So is it completed this era by Tzu Chi? Let me just say that Master in Tzu Chi have paved the road for us. Master with Tzu Chi have made sure the conditions are ready for us. But the problem isn't that is it ready for us. The problem is, are we ready to do this? That has always been the problem. And when are we not ready? When the notion of self is too much. So by giving of yourself, by saying, I'm gonna put the people's need in front of mine, you are in a way burning this self. You are in a way using the wisdom, the fire of wisdom, to burning this attachment to self, because you're putting others ahead of you. And by doing more of that, you're putting more seeds into the eighth consciousness, and that self will become smaller and smaller. Eventually, it will become selfless. Eventually, it will become not there. And all the things that you think about will be the wisdom. And then there will be the next stage of cultivation after that. But the first step is still trying to get the self to be as small as possible. And that's the sharing for today. The time is up. So there's still more questions up, but we'll take more time next time to answer these questions. So remember, two voices in you, right? Why does this voice always win? Well, you know why, because it knows all your weaknesses and it knows where to attack you. But now strengthen this voice, so then when we are having this internal debate, we have a chance to win. We have a chance to do what is right. So let us work together to make sure that we strengthen this wisdom. So in the debate, we will not lose so badly, right? So it will not be like, let me just have this bowl of ice cream because I only had one every week and that is okay. No, it's not okay. Not because you have it very often. It's not okay because you're giving in to what you were trying to hold up. You're trying to uphold the idea of having a healthy body. And it's not okay to give in to just one time. It's not. And you have to have that wisdom to back it up. Okay, thank you. And that's my sharing. Thank you. We're gonna now pass back to the centers for sharing. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Thank you, Sister Tzu Chi, for inviting me to do this sharing. A little bit about myself. I'm Benjamin. A lot of you may know my wife, Sister Tammy. And then I have a little daughter, Isabel, that you might have seen her in some Tzu Chi events. She's also here with me. She's sitting next to me, and she's going to be helping throughout my presentation to share some Jing aphorism. So let's talk about my Tzu Chi experience. So about 5 years ago, my wife started joining Tzu Chi, and she got very she adopted master's teachings very quickly, and she started to become a vegetarian also. I think it's in a matter of months. She started becoming a full vegetarian. So when she started becoming a vegetarian and she started adopting and practicing master's teaching, she would also be imposing a lot on the family, on myself. So, for example, I would have quota on a weekly basis how much meat I can eat. So at the time, you know, it was also quite stressful, and you know, when she was trying to impose vegetarian on me, you know, we would get into some fights. And I want to share Cheng aphorism right now. Okay. So this Cheng aphorism is to forgive others is in fact being kind to ourselves. Thank you, Isabel. So I'm not sure whether you saw the Cheng aphorism. Was it clear to view?
It's clear. Brother.
Okay. So my daughter is getting ready for the next one. So we had a we also had a clash of in terms of ideology, and so that was a bit difficult in terms of relationship with the wife. And I guess that was also the first dream I had about Master. So the first dream I had about Master was Master invited me to sit in a table with her to eat, and Master told me that mushroom fried rice is very delicious. So when I woke up, I hesitated whether I wanted to tell this to my wife or not. Eventually, I told her, and she had her own deductions, and she told me Master is asking me to be a vegetarian. So that's that story. Over time, I'm also doing my own business. I started my career in computer hardware, and then I moved to e-commerce and online payment. After that, I went into online gaming, and then after that, I started my own business, making educational apps for kids. And there was after some time, business was very challenging, and it gotten quite bad, and it's still bad today. And I was actually having personally, it was a big struggle for myself, and I think I'm not sure if I should describe it as depression, but I would have a lot of there were a lot of times I would be very I would have a lot of anger. I would have a lot of resentment, and at that time also my wife was already progressing in Tzu Chi, and she has there are a lot of activities on the weekends, and she would be busy on the weekends. She would be away from the home. Usually it's just me and my daughter at home on the weekends, and I guess things weren't so good then. So you want to share the second one? This is the second one, 106, okay. So this is the second Jing aphorism that I want to share. So our thoughts and actions create our state of heaven and hell. So I guess that is very true. I was very afflicted with the conditions of my life and my business, and I guess my personal struggle then. It's very dependent on what's in my mind, and there was one point, I even tried to convince my wife that she should stop or reduce her volunteer work, and at that point I had my second dream of Master. In my second dream about Master is she came to me and she said that I should not stop my wife with her Tzu Chi volunteer work, and she gave me an insight about the issues that I'm facing. Master told me that I am not angry at my wife. I'm actually angry at myself. So that after waking up from a dream, it gave me a lot of reflection. What was actually going on personally. So I'm not sure how come that at a certain point of time, I would dream of Master. I don't think she comes to me because she's very busy and she has a lot of things that she wants to do. But in that sense, whenever there are certain points in my life, I would dream about Master. So I'm still struggling with a lot of things today, but I think things are better because my wife, as a she's listening to master's teaching all the time, and there's a lot of improvements that I can see on her behavior. She's how to say, she's less hot-tempered. She is more accepting of a lot of things. She's very patient nowadays with a lot of things. So in that sense, if I guess when two people fight, if one person is able to be patient, and if the other person is very angry, I don't think the fight can go. I don't think it can escalate. So it's more like someone is sharing, he's angry, he's talking about his dissatisfaction. But if the other person is very patient and is listening, I guess fights don't get escalated. I guess that's the situation right now. Is my wife is more, she's very cultured now in terms of her teaching. So I think on my side, you know, I'm listening more to master's teaching, so that helps. So after a certain as things progress, I'm going to start sharing some images. Let me set it up. Sister Tzu Chi, let me know if my pictures are coming through.
Yes, clear.
Okay. So after some time, I got involved with recycling in Bandar Putri. So me and my wife, I guess once a week or twice a week, we would go to the recycling center to volunteer. And I started to, when I went to the recycling center, I just help out with sorting out the recyclables. And then one day, one of the brothers asked me, do I know how to fix electronic stuff? And I said that I could try, you know, I could try. So I started fixing some electronic stuff. You know, I remember I fixed the kettle. It was out of the blue. And then the next time I went, I think the brother asked me, can I fix computers? I said, yeah, I can try and fix computers. Personally, I've been playing with computers since I was 7. And I started learning about programming when I was 12. So I could fix computers to a certain extent, because when I got my computer when I was in Form 5, I broke my own computer and I managed to fix it. So I guess it's something that computers have been something I've always had interest. I have interest in. So so I started fixing computers at the recycling center, and after that, when the volunteers there knew that I could fix computers, some of them actually asked me if I could help them with their computers. So I tried to do what I can, and I guess that progressed to some sort of personal mission. I guess I wanted to use some of my knowledge and skills to try and find a way to help people. So, so I decided to use my knowledge in computers to fix computers from the recycling center and donate it to the care recipient families. So it started with a few computers that I could fix. and then it went to 10 computers, 20 computers. I also, when I fix the computers and work with the brother and sisters to deliver the computers to the care recipient families. I also shared some of the experience on Facebook, and eventually some of my friends saw my sharing on Facebook. They eventually, some of them actually helped by donating their old computers to me. So I guess that's how I went on to fixing more computers and delivering these computers to the care recipient families. So to date, I think I've delivered about 70 computers to different families. So here are some of the pictures that I can share. These are some of the families and sisters and brothers that I've worked with to deliver them. So it's very it's very happy to deliver these computers to some of these families, because you can see the joy in the faces of these kids. A lot of these families is the first time they are getting a computer, and so I guess personally, even though I started with computers very early, but I've never had a computer at home. I've always used computers in the school, or I've used computers in my friend's house. I've never had my own computer. So I guess what drove me to do this is I know that a lot of the families out there, they also want computers to play and learn with, but they cannot afford one. So I guess that's how it started, that I wanted to see what I can do by fixing and repairing these computers, and giving to these families. In a way, I guess it's like I'm trying to help myself. When I was a kid and I wanted a computer, but I couldn't afford one. And now that I have my own computer, I want to help kids who don't have one, who cannot afford one, and give it to them. And in a way, I guess I'm helping myself. It's a silly way of putting it, but maybe it's like that. So let's see how many pictures more do I have. Okay. So I'll just run through some of these pictures. So maybe some of the brothers and sisters could see themselves in some of these pictures. So yeah, that's also, I guess in the last 2 years, I've also been helping to Sister Tzu Chi. She would also tell me that there are some refugees who are interested to learn about computers, and I also started fixing some computers for Sister Tzu Chi. I knew Sister Tzu Chi, I think she had one care recipient family in Sri Damansara, and we delivered one computer to that family. I think they are, yeah, I think Sister Tzu Chi, this family, right? So this family is one of Sister Tzu Chi's care recipients. So we delivered a computer to them. these are the other sisters who came along. And oh, this is a funny picture. This is a picture of my daughter and her friend. So what happened is we were delivering a computer to a care recipient family, and this car was actually blocking my car, and these two little volunteers decided to help to push the car away. So this is a very cute picture of them. They could actually move the car. It was very impressive. Okay, I'll stop sharing the pictures for the moment. Okay. Sister Tzu Chi, am I still sharing my pictures? No, right?
No more, brother.
All right, thank you. So after that, I guess it was last year, or beginning of this year, I started to join the UNHCR Tzu Chi cash-based intervention program, where we would actually visit refugee homes and learn about their plights and difficulties, and I had one case which was in that sense very stressful. This refugee had a cousin brother, and he had an accident with his leg, and it was like 7 years ago, and he did not get proper treatment for his leg. So frequently his leg would be infected, and he would be very sick. So so knowing about this case, there were times where they needed medical attention and they didn't have the money to visit the doctor. So the refugee would reach out to me and to ask for help. So initially it was quite manageable, but after a certain extent, it kind of affected me because I started to worry about the condition. Occasionally, it would give me some sleepless nights. So, so it's how do I say? I guess what I'm trying to say is when you're doing this volunteer work, you need to try not to be too attached to it, because it can really affect you. I've personally faced that myself. So come year 2020, we know that the whole world is struggling right now with the COVID-19, and since April, almost on a weekly basis, I would help out to disperse the cash assistance to the refugees. So let me share some pictures. My daughter just reminded me that I actually missed one Jingse aphorism, so let me show this. So this one is joyous giving is to contribute our efforts happily. Thank you. So let me start my next picture slide sharing. Sister Tzu Chi, is my slide sharing right now? Pictures?
Yeah, I can see.
All right, great. So, so as I just mentioned, COVID-19 in year 2020. So, Tzu Chi was helping UNHCR to distribute cash to help out refugees who have lost their jobs. And a lot of them were actually struggling and they don't have money for food and rent. So with the request of my wife and her permission, she asked me to help out with the disbursements. So we went to, so I think in April, since April, almost on a weekly basis, I would go out and help to disperse cash and food to these refugees and foreigners in Malaysia. Here are some of the pictures of the distribution places that I went to. So there was actually also, I can't remember, was it in, I think it was in May. So Tzu Chi was actually aggressively raising more funds to help the refugees. So I think it was this fundraising where we try to ask our family and friends to donate 150 ringgit to help a refugee family that is in need. So I told myself, okay, let's try to get some of my friends to help out. So I started sending them messages in WhatsApp, and I got a few friends to donate. But I guess it wasn't enough effort. So that's when I also had another dream of Master Cheng. So this dream was actually quite direct in the sense that how this dream came about is I was walking next to a house, and I saw Master Cheng in the window, and then I went into the house, and Master Cheng was actually having her meal, and when I approached her, someone took away her food. And someone took away her food, and she actually fainted. So I guess what Master is trying to tell me that there are a lot of refugees out there who are really in desperate need for assistance, and they don't have money for food. So I need to go and get more people to donate. So I started sharing about this program on Facebook, and I actually messaged a lot of people in Facebook, in their Facebook message box. And it happened for, I guess, about 2-3 weeks. I would go on Facebook, see if my friends are online, and then if they're online, I would send them a message and ask them to donate. And so that happened for a couple of weeks, and there was a lot of clicking the mouse, sharing, copy paste, send message. So in that sense, I guess it paid off, because I managed to get about 50 people to donate. So that was a good thing. So let me stop sharing my screen. Personally, right now I'm a vegetarian. I vowed to be a vegetarian last year, and I guess one of the best news you could have as a parent is this year my daughter also vowed to be a vegetarian. and she's 9. So I guess that's very happy. That's very good news. So that's all I have to share today. So thank you, Sister Tzu Chi.
Okay, thank you, Brother Benjamin. Before our masters depart for their duty for this week, they had to leave early. They asked me to share with you. They left at the time, I think you share your second dream, and begin to talk about the computer part. And they wanted to say that the world needs someone like you. And that is why Master took 2 specific trips, 2 that you remember. I'm sure there are probably more, but 2 that you remember and you share to make sure that you are able to be such a wonderful help to the people that you have now come in contact with your life. And thanks to Sister Cheng, and thanks to Tammy, your wife, and your daughter now, who are all supporting each other to be on this path. I think this is what Bodhisattva path is about. You mentioned the joy of the joyous giving is to contribute yourself happily, right? That's come from the Jing aphorism. Thank you for your heartfelt sharing for us, that we all can take a look at ourselves and have we transformed? Have we gone a long way from where we were? And are we on our way to somewhere where we can call ourselves to be happy and joyous? And you proved it, that this is the path of joy. And even though there's some hardships along the way, but I see all the pictures, I see all the smiles. I'm sure there are sometimes difficulties, but all those smiles are what's really worth the most. Bringing the much needed help and teaching them computer to the less privileged. So thanks again, Brother Benjamin, and thanks for the entire support of the family. Thank you so much. And thanks to Sister Cheng. I think you're always there to help everybody, not just help, but being there, I think is very important. I do wanted to mention the very first Jing aphorism, I think by your daughter Isabel, when you held up that writing. It was very interesting because I think the first time I saw it, it was written, forgive others is in fact being king to yourself. I think there was a misspell, and then it was taken. It was changed to kind. And yes. I was thinking, it was king, right? So yes. I was thinking, I think right now you are being the king, because you're not just forgiving others, but you are helping others, contributing yourself and giving of yourself, and that is truly being yourself. The true self that we have been talking about. So I think forgive others is being kind, but now contributing to others is now being king to yourself, to know that you are now in control, and whatever the emotion that might be in the past, that's just part of it, but now you're in control, and I think that's part of the cultivation. So thank you, Benjamin. It's wonderful sharing, and always warmth to our life. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, Kanan so much to all the brothers and sisters for all the full of Dharma joy that we have been experiencing since 5:20 this morning. Okay, a warm welcome to all for this extended session. Okay, today we are very grateful to have a very committed and hardworking Sister Wan Chin just to share her insights. So please help me to welcome Sister Wan Chin. Over to you, Sister Wan Chin.
For brothers and sisters. Well, I wouldn't call it insight, but I probably will call it a small little practice. So without further ado, I think I'm just going to jump into my slide now. Okay, I think Brother Joe mentioned about Sister Tzu Chi's presence in helping people, inspiring people, and I think this is really an extension of it. Most of us probably are very familiar with this diagram that I'm showing on my screen here. I'm sharing a story of how I was inspired by this action from Sister Tzu Chi. She shared her drawings for a while already, as we know. And in one chat that I had with her, I found out something much more beautiful beyond. I mean, the drawing itself is already very beautiful, but the intent behind it is even more beautiful. She said that she cherished Master's teaching so much. And in order to cherish them, treasure them, she wished that she can retain in her mind, her consciousness for the longest time. And that's why drawings like that are drawn. And when I thought of that, I'm like, yes, then what have I been doing with all those notes that I put down? Is that cherishing them enough? Am I able to retain and abide them enough? And more importantly, am I able to pass it on? So I asked myself, what can I do? I can't draw. Whatever I draw, I can't make sense of it. I don't even remember what it was about, so I couldn't use the same approach. But instead, I'm good with computer to a certain extent, so I will search for pictures, images that relate to me for that given teaching by Master on any given day. And it's actually a fairly simple process after a while. I'm sure all of us will connect with one word, one phrase. So that's what I do. I will take down that one phrase, but instead of having it in my notebook, I type it out, and then with that one word, I will go into Google and look for a image that I can resonate with again. And I put them together, and they become my so-called memory cards. So what you see here are just different memory cards that I have to help me retain those teaching, and more importantly, remember them and bring them up for application. So what I wanted to share is how these cards has been of use to me already. First of all, it's actually helping me connect lines a lot more faster and a lot more easier. And I think this is very much exactly like what Master said in one of her Shin Fa Xiang, that she's using her every single breath, effort, and energy so that she can spread out those strings of Dharma so that it can connect us. So what I mentioned by it helped me easier to connect lines and so on. Say for example, just on the word clarity itself, So by the way, this is how I do the note, right? So I put down a line that resonate with me. I choose a picture and I will jot down which date so that I can, if I need to know more, then I refer back to that little hand note that I have where I have a longer text. So over here, just on clarity itself, on the 12th May, Master introduced this very profound concept about distance and to be able to see clearly. So then, okay, the way I understand clarity on the 12th May is you must have distance to see it clearly, and it's actually applied in the context of principles and practice. And of course, thanks to Brother Joe in his weekly summary, he actually explained it further that it is then principle, but is to be able to observe in mind, but it is still with a distance. And then the practice itself is, of course, putting it into practice, and it is with real experience that we have clarity. So that's exactly what that's how I understand of what Master is trying to say about we must have distance to see clearly. We must have principles kept in mind and put it into practice to see clearly. Now then, 1 month later, on the 24th June, Master again spoke about clarity, but in a different aspect. I think a lot of us want to be able to turn our own Dharma wheel to be able to make offering. But that day, Master mentioned that it's only when we have clarity inside first, and then the Dharma will shine through. And she was using the analogy of wheel. So she talked about Xing Lun and Fa Lun, that we first have to turn the wheel of our mind so as to gain clarity internally before we can turn the wheel of the Dharma, that is to give offering. So this is a different aspect of clarity. And then on the 30th June, Master again spoke of clarity, but this time around is using the Chinese character of Zong. And she mentioned about things will start to deviate when we fail to observe and practice with clarity. And more often than not, the culprit is arrogance from our past achievement. And she has this beautiful word that a calculative mind actually breeds the conditions of our future. So you see, just on one clarity itself, the strange thing was along these few days, as I hear the word clarity, my mind was drawn back to that particular image, be the glass or the wheel, and then I'll quickly refer back to the note to try to see what Master meant, and the whole appreciation of her sentence on that very day becomes so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. And that was one day that I was just suddenly reminded, actually, it's been a long, long time that every time when I am in front of a Buddha statue, whether I go visiting or, wherever I am, as I put my palms together, the prayers that I make in my mind is, I pray to see things clearly. I've been doing this like a regime unknowingly for a long, long time. And I'm just so grateful that, through Master's teaching and through this time my prayers are being answered. I pray to see things clearly, although I don't know how to, but through this little droplets on having distance, this cuts from having a distance to turning the wheel of the mind up to arrogance being the deviation point. It is actually a, different methods to teach me to answer my prayers of helping me to see things clearly. So that's on clarity itself, just on connecting the lines. And then, of course, when it comes to the mind, there's so much more. So these are just different memory cards that I put together at the moment I think of mind. So for example, on the 16th May, Master used the analogy of the canopy of clouds, that they are actually the representation of the Mahabuddhas and the Bodhisattvas. And it is the landscape of our mind that we have to learn to manage. So on this day, I thought of, as I look at the sky, and I thought of, even if it's a very hard, tough situation, I cannot fail to recognize the emergence of clouds, who are the Mahasattvas and the Bodhisattvas, who are there to help to they are there to shield us off. It may be hot, but it's not going to kill us, because they are there to protect us. So it's landscape of the mind on the 16th May, and then on different days, as you can see on the screen, like for example on the 14th June, this is through Brother Joe's Shinfa Xiang again. He actually was responding to a question raised on how to make the heart gentle, and I thought of a feather. And to me that day, what I learned is, in order to make the heart gentle, we have use feather, get near to see, to hear, to feel all the people, matter, object, and by doing that we will be gentler, and we will prepare to receive and endure. So these are not my words, these are Brother Joe's words, but I put them into a card so that I can, when I see a feather, I remember these words. I'll go on. Now, in many occasions when we attend Shinfa Xiang, Master will actually take us so near as if we are right in front of Lord Buddha. So I'm very, very thankful, and it's true. It's those days that I will look for images of the Buddha, and I will pen down the very words that Master have said. So on the 1st June, Master told us about, Buddha's mind is to look for who to pass on the Dharma, and we have to focus on our mind and brain power, and so that we can find that right direction, because Buddha is seeking for one to pass on the Dharma. And on 13 June, Master talked about who are the people that Master is waiting for. So I put them again into a text like this. On the 6th July, Master told us that as we front the Buddha, as we make our vow, what exactly are we pledging? We are pledging to observe the principles throughout the day, simply because etiquette is principle and conduct is Dhamma path. So these are, when I front the image of a Buddha, I was reminded of all these words from Master. So that's what this card had helped me in terms of connecting the lines. Now it has also helped me greatly in interacting. So here's an example. Sometimes I will share. I will use these cards as my talking point. So what you see in text, responses that I get, and it's these responses that makes it even more. To me, it's even more insightful. My own interpretation is such as my memory card, and the responses that I get back in return becomes. They are my teacher, you know, they help me deepen or broaden the understanding of all different teachings that I have. And to me, I'm so appreciative. I'm very appreciative of those who responded to me, because I am looking out for interactions like this, so that, you know, just like the earlier slide about, well, actually the earlier slide was also a example given by Brother Joe some time back, that at any one time we can take on 3 roles. We can be a teacher, we can be a student, and we can both at the same time. But the most important thing is to play it as if like, to play this role as if like as a norm. So when I share these memory cards, it's beautiful. I sometimes thought that, okay, maybe I will share it so that this other party probably has missed this session and he or she will know better. But in return, they actually become my teacher by sharing something even more profound. So these cards are my intellection link. Now, these cards are also a very good check and balance for me. You know, to be honest, there are days and weeks where it was just so full of Dharma that I'm so joyful that I can pack my memory cards, you know, sometimes even 2 to 3 cards a day. So this is one typical week that on that given week, I'm happy, I'm joyful that I could create cards, because to me, to be able to create cards means I have retained some of this. And I will be able to apply them hopefully very soon. But honestly, there are also days and weeks that I just have nothing, and it's those days that I then am thankful that there are other sources. For example, these 2 cards are not by me. For those of you who are familiar, you probably recognized it. The one on the left. The one on the left is Stephanie's card. It's this Sister Stephanie's, and the one on the right is Sister Tzu Chi's card. So the check and balance is for me to, okay, I probably have missed out those teachings myself for whatever reasons, and I need to be more diligent. But it allows me to balance up when I'm still in this group here, where, you know, they help me patch my leakages for those days. Now, this card is also, do I have time? This card is also my navigator, and I wanted to just share a short story. Well, I received a call that offered me an opportunity, but that opportunity requires me to let go of my job, my corporate life. I said no, to be honest. But on the 24th May, Masters expounded on the Lion's Roar, and I had that card that day. And somehow after I said no, I was reminded of this card, and I asked myself, did I just say no to a Lion's Roar? Did I just say no to a very important calling? And thankfully, one day later, they called me back and they asked, should I reconsider? So this time I told myself, yes, it is a Lion's Roar, and I don't want to miss it. So I said yes. Oh, but things doesn't go so easily, because after I said yes, then just like exactly what Brother Joe said about the 7 and the 6 consciousness, other sounds start to come in, and I started to become very, very unconfident. To be honest, I'm not used to the feeling of not having confidence, because to me, it's a very terrible feeling, but that's exactly how I was feeling. And then on the 13th June, Master mentioned about, you know, the person that Buddha is waiting for includes to have confidence when we ourselves haven't felt it, but others have faith, and then to rejoice when we are being entrusted and to be able to show the responsibility wholly. So, and that's when I told myself, yes, I will say yes to that. So not, and that was also the time where I then went back to my company and I expressed my intention to resign, and thereby leaving my world of corporate for the past for this company specifically for the past 13 years. And why am I doing that? Simply because along the journey, I found out that I think I'm actually I want to become someone that Buddha is waiting for. I'm not there yet. I am very, very far from there, but I do want to become someone like that. And I hope that with that one day I can then, with this journey, I can then make offering with whatever that I have, that I offer. And it's these 3 cards that help my journey from the day I hear the lion's roar to me putting in a stop to my corporate world. And starting next month, I will be joining our school, the international school, as a staff. So that's, I am again very, very grateful, because it wasn't an easy journey at all. There was a lot of apprehension, that there was a lot of letting go issues also, because honestly, I was having a good life out there. But anyway, I'm thankful. I'm thankful to all these cards and these teachings more. So here's the end of my sharing. I wanted to share that these are just my little journey with memory card. I am sure all of you have listened to Master's teaching and will have your own way. And I just, with my sincere hope that all of us here will find our own approach and means of our little memory card, that it can abide in our mind for the longest time, and that we can pull it out and use it as and when we want to. With that, I am my sharing. Kanan.
Kanan, so much, Sister Wan Chin, for your marvelous, beautiful, and touching, very touching sharing. Over to you, Brother Joe.
You know, it is not often that I'm speechless. And
recall back your old memory, is it? Is it recall back your old memory when you gave up your job in USA?
No. What I gave up was nothing compared to what Sister Wan Chin just shared. You know, it's speechless is just not in my dictionary. But I was looking at the memory cards, and I was so touched. You know, today I was talking about. Remember that question about dogs? I was talking about why some people can just pick up the pen and draw. I was thinking about Sister Tzu Chi, because she was able to draw and people can see it right away. I understand. You know, and you know, yeah, I couldn't draw, right? I can't draw. I cannot, like you're talking about, you know, drawing something and people have no clue what you're drawing, including yourself. And that's me too. And so when you're doing this, you know, it's so amazing. It's so intuitive. You know, I could do something like that too if I just put, you know, like follow what you're doing. And this is so wonderful. I was so touched that you're putting all the things, all the lessons, and into these memory cards. And I hope that, you know, the memory cards gets bigger and bigger. It's not like limited by time. Like, you know, it starts out at 10 megabytes. You know, when we're young, it was like 1.4 megabyte for the floppy disk, right? And now it's going, you know, so much bigger, because it tells you that you could expand wide. But the last part about lion's roar, it's you know, I was wondering, you know, well, you know, I know your job is it's gotta be really good, because, you know, you're a very capable person, and to be able to just, you know, give that up, it's something that's very touching. So thank you for sharing, and I'm sure you'll find you'll find a lot of people very happy and a lot of people needing you. So please do continue. And like I said, once again, speechless, not sure what to say, but utmost gratitude to all of you. As Sister Wan Chin said, you know, we're always a teacher and a student and a both. We're right now, I'm very humble. I'm always humbled by all of you. So thank you all. Thank you all. You just make my day, you know, just giving us all the sharings. Dharma joy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Kanan so much, Brother Joe. I think it's because of you who we can have all these wonderful sharing, and then of course the Sister Tzu Chi, both of you. I think we managed to extend all this sharing, and then we got so many brothers and sisters to come in, that we can continue to learn from each other. I think that is the most important, and then I think we must always remain humble. I think, Sister Wan Jin, I think your memory cards are really, I think, when you show all these memory cards, the clarity, the direction, the view, I think everything will lead you to make the decision, the right decision to go to this school, So I think we'll be very blessed to have you to join our school, to help to so-called manage the school well, Okay, we have come to the end of today. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us to learn, here to learn from each other, cultivate together. Okay, let's not forget our appointment with Master again. I think we are all here because of Master. I think that let us not forget it as well. Even though we can have each other to support each other, but I think the most important person is still our Master, our Sangren. So let us don't forget our appointment with Master tomorrow morning, 5:20. We'll see each other again. So, meanwhile, have a good day. Bye bye. Take care.